express appreciation for a good voice. Thank you. A good voice in society is worth hearing so that we all get to do the right thing. And right from our front, I just want to say, at the 50th anniversary of our nation later this year, it is incumbent upon all of us to look retrospectively and isolate what are downsides and trends, what are our good sides, and also propose new good proposals that secures the future of our country going forward. And the voice that continues to come out from CIMC is a voice of society, is a voice of all cross-sections, from the churches, from the people, from business, from government. And so I am happy to be here in this moment, especially a CIMC meeting that stares right in the face of our 50th anniversary. And I want to commend Minister Pala. Thank you for chairing this important body of stakeholders and citizens. I want to appreciate all heads of missions who are here. Thank you, European Union and others who continue to give your support to Papua New Guinea. I want to appreciate, of course, CIMC, Mrs. Yakam, for your welcoming statement and your opening remarks. I just want to appreciate all department heads, Police Commissioner, thank you for coming in. And I looked and scanned the room. I'm yet to see many department heads here, and I will make it my business as I step out to go to Cabinet to inform all that they need to be here for the next 2 days in session. I come from a society where, in the ancient of holy words, they say, words drive society. Words can light fire or switch off fires. And so it's important to hear from the society, and I will direct and compel all department heads to be in present, especially key central agency departments, so that conversations from the floor up could find residence in these agency heads. I want to appreciate Paul Baker. Thank you. You and INA for continuously hosting CIMC. We take note of that, and I take note of Mrs. Yakam's view that since the NEC decision in 1998, it has been sort of not deeply entrenched. It is just by way of NEC decision. I think the state government made that call, and 4 prime ministers or the 5th prime minister since then, and CIMC has been doing its rounds. And I want to ask, as part of the recommendations you submit later, may the recommendations also call for us to move CIMC into a proper placement in law and for government to continue support. All right, I am not good in reading speeches, but let me try to read and follow in the footsteps, because I think it's very important in this conversation, especially when we're talking about charting a roadmap for the future generation and the role the rule of law can play. In a society as diverse as ours, a common rule book is important. Common rule book is important. We are the most diverse nation on planet Earth. And don't take this diversity for granted, firstly, and see it as just a light statement in passing. To manage so much diversity, at 1975, the fathers of our country did an amazing job, and of course our mothers too. But they stitched together the most diverse nation on the face of planet Earth into one sovereignty. And since then, 50 years on, amidst all the challenges that we have faced, to maintain unity in the midst of diversity is an amazing testament and a reflection of resilience and continued shared aspirations in the midst of all the struggle that one people, one nation, one country must shine forth. I pay respect to the indigenous Motu-Queta people on whose land we sit, for instance. Elders past, generations past today, and those who will come after us. You in Motu-Queta, you have a different lifestyle, different cultures. You go out, even in Central, there's so much language groups in Central culture associated. The Queries on their own, the Quetas on their own, the Goilalas on their own, Mekeos on their own, the Karikus on their own. Although they say the same plan, but different cultural societies. And that's just one province. You go down Magi Highway, likewise. Very soon we'll be opening up Magi Highway, reaching into Millen Bay. My headmistress, thank you for leading your students out. Pass my thank you to them. The road to Millen Bay will be an economic enabler. One of the beautiful drive will be Magi Highway to Alatown, or Tolosi. Part of this opening up we're doing must be done within the context of securing a country for prosperity. And deep in the heart and soul of this is the conversation on lawful living and law and order. So I want to commend CIMC for hosting this meeting right in the face of 50 years, as I said earlier. 50 years ago this time, the CPC, Constitutional Planning Committee, was at work. 15th of August 1975, the Constituent Assembly then brought all the law into one law that we have today. And I have a second book that is my favorite book, is the Constitution of our country. I carry it with me all the time. Because my first book I read, I try my best to read, but sometimes we fall short. It's the Bible that keeps us all guided and the moral conscience. The fathers of our country did a very good job. One of the best constitutions, and I've read a few other constitutions to see our constitution against other constitutions, even in other democracies. I must say, our constitution is amongst the best in the world, if not the best. Unbiasedly. And you just read through the constitution. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, except some aspects of its clarity. When technology has emerged, etc., we put into place, especially at the aspects of our subservient laws, where operation needs to be tidy, that can be looked at. But in the general scheme of things, our constitution is amongst the best in the world. And rule of law is important. Deeply embedded in the constitution is rule of law. If every one of us follow our constitution as it is, life will be easier, simpler, fair, and accountability will be upheld. Every one of us will be living in a better place. It is known to all of you, my common line that I say all the time. Keeping law is the easiest and the best contribution all of us can do for our country. Lawful living, keeping law, costs nothing. Costs nothing. As Christians, we go to church every Sundays or Saturdays. What does the Bible teach us? Keeping law. Fundamental of Christian is doing unto others what you would want them to do to you. Fundamental. The entire Bible, if you want to summarize, Christ in his own words, Matthew 7 verse 12 says, do unto others what you would want them to do to you. And so, Bible says it, our constitution says it, preservation of human rights is there. How do we augment that and move on? I propose to all of us a few things, and we are working on them as I speak as government. Education and awareness has a greater role in augmenting rule of law, respect of law, and what we must all do. My government, since we took office, knew clearly that the youth bus and the dropout system in our country and education curriculum that doesn't empower people but throw them out into society half educated is the biggest flaw and weakness we carry, and we've been working to relook at the education system from a holistic perspective. The notion of leaving no one behind, equipping everyone with skill. And so I propose to us, as you engage in this conversation, education has a deep role to play in securing our country's future in as far as lawful living is concerned. So I leave it to you, all of you stakeholders here. Look at the education curriculum. The only thing I ask is don't expand in human rights too far to bring the so-called other work view into our country. Curriculum must be relooked at in our country. What is taught from grade 1 or early childhood all the way to university. And so education is important. The structure of education, I propose that this committee or this important forum have a look in the education sector, because education plays fundamentally a deep role in shaping the mindset of our people. Deep inside, for me, I've always proposed a Christian worldview simply of the fact, not skewed towards one church and its dogma, but a general upside, like I pointed, that doing unto others what you want them to do you. Forgiveness, tolerance, kindness. And so all of this I put to you, look at education and the role education can play. Government stands ready to support proposal that comes that embraces education, and your recommendations will be considered. The second work we've been doing is strengthening the judicial process and its independence. This Pangolin government believes in the total independence of our judiciary. Inasmuch as some ruling they make may feel contrary to our own personal intentions, but there must be only one reader of law in our country. And the reader of law is our court systems. Whatever decision they make, we must comply, all of us. And we've strengthened judiciary in as far as inserting 3 higher, separating the courts based on judicial recommendation. The Chief Justice is involved in the process. Supreme Court is now elevated higher through one of the reforms we made. And if you ask me, one of the greatest things you would have done for your country, forget about the connect PNGs and everything that we are doing in our country. Just remember me for the judicial reform we are doing. We're reforming our judiciary to make judiciary relevant and functional, quicker, expeditious without compromising due care and process, and elevating Supreme Court higher, in setting an appeals court, and allowing a functional national court. All 3 will be headed by their own judge administrators, as well as supporting the district court and village court in a better way, and making sure judiciary independence is entrenched. Yet, our recommendation to us in this space, judicial independence must be entrenched. Lest we forget, 2011, politicians like me ran into a sitting Chief Justice courtroom and chased the Chief Justice out. Lest we forget. Those instances remind us that these consultations must recommend strongly how to entrench judicial independence, and in the judicial independence, judicial accountability. Chief Justice got 10 years. So in the restructure we're doing, I want this independent forum, because when government does a reform, there's always a view of political element into this. This body, the important body, must look into judiciary, so the judiciary is strengthened, the independence is anchored, and the vitality and functionality is given. So I have to ask all of you, look at the reform we're doing. Elevating, and this reform is done with total support from the current administration of Supreme Court and National Courts. We're elevating Supreme Court mostly to deal with Section 18 and Section 19 references, but this body here could advise us. You could deal with some of these appeals also at the highest. We're putting an appeals court in between National Court and Supreme Court, and we allow National Court to function on its own. And then, of course, strengthening of our district court, and I want to also say in our effort, this is to make justice accessible to our people. We're also strengthening village court, and I want to put to this consultation meeting, what is the role of village court? Most of the offenses in our country are summary law offenses. Look at the penalties also that is given in law. How can we look at a penalty and strengthen penalty? What is the role of village courts? What is the role of customary law? I think it's about time this conversation is 50 years on. I'll put to all of you to look into this and propose back to government. My government stands ready to embrace good assistance that goes towards anchoring our country going forward into the future. The fourth recommendation, I will also make to us is look into anti-corruption measures. Since late Tony Sieguru talked about for setting up an international, I beg your pardon, ICAC. What's the abbreviation standing for? Independent Commission Against Corruption. Since 1980s. This was in circulation until we came into office in 2019, and my commitment to the country that ICAC will be delivered. We have delivered ICAC. There are some teething issues in the structure. I want this body, this forum, to look into ICAC again. My government did not set up ICAC for ICAC officers to fight amongst themselves. I just been transparent up in the front. And so I want this body. If I do reform again now, some of you might accuse me. I'm under heavy crossfire in politics. You might accuse me I have an interest in this space. So this body, look into proposals, send it to us. We will set up. I almost lost government by the way. Passed ICAC in 2020. The next day, almost half my caucus left my government in 2020 to Panama. But thank God I'm still surviving. I will make sure ICAC is set up to the fullest. Whilst I am not a saint, but when I'm in office, we just have to do what is right for our country. So I ask this forum here, don't sit around wasting time. I'm here to listen to you. Look into the ICAC, take it up again and look into what you want to do. Propose a good law to us. You have to set up structures that go beyond James Marape and our generation and lives into time, securing the future of our country. I want to remind us, in 1995, I saw a John Higgins commentary in 1995. And 30 years later, how true his words still ring on. It's not James Marape commentary. Look at John Higgins commentary in 1995 when we were celebrating 20 years of independence. John Higgins, in his commentary, said, Papua New Guinea is faced with lawlessness, and he pronounced lawlessness as an issue in 1995. He pronounced corruption as an issue in 1995. He pronounced compensation and culture as an issue in 1995. John Higgins can be pronounced as a prophet because 30 years on, these problems have now been, still there in our face. And I don't know what we've been doing all this time, but these problems are even bigger now in magnitude because the population is even more bigger and more informed. And so I want to put to you this forum, look into the anti-corruption measures. How do we strengthen ICAC? How do we strengthen police? And I want to commend Police Commissioner. Under our watch, he's been instructed to find relevant police officers from outside of our country to come into key sectors in our police. And if any one of you have noticed, let's say thank you to him, he's now inserted into the the anti-fraud squad unit in police, police leadership from down south. Commandant officer now heads our corruption section in police. And these are little steps, but the steps is geared towards building integrity in our system, removing element of biasness and perception of biasness out, and getting the system to work. So he's been instructed to get more police officers to come in from outside of our country. We're working to get more judges from outside of our country. Yes, you've seen other judges from outside. Not to say that local hands are not doing the job. It's just that we need additional help. And perception of biasness is as bad as biasness in itself, in as far as law and order and justice is concerned. So we just thought bringing judges from outside, bringing police officers from outside and key sectors could assist us at this point in time when fragility is greatest for our country going forward. So I put to all of you, look at the anti-corruption measures. The fifth one I put to us, look into the role of community. What is the role of community? Are they to just enjoy the luxury of free education and free health and just spend time, squandering time doing nothing? What is the role of community and what is the relevant laws that could be passed? I need this forum to inform us on what is the role of committee what are relevant laws that we must pass, what is the work of police, what is the work of court, what is the work of churches. There's a great role as far as community engagement is concerned. And let's define what is the role of community. For me, to my people, my country, I just put to you that community, your number one role to your country, if you do not know, is keeping law. As simple as this. Keeping law, number one work. You expect the Prime Minister to work 18 hours a day, non-stop. Your job is to really keep the law. My job is to keep the law, all of us. We are in law country, that's all. And we should be safe. And I ask this committee, this forum, look into what is the role of community, what is the type of law and possible law that we can pass in. Some of the laws we carry in our country as old as 1959. In case some of you didn't get the change we did in Parliament recently, the Income Tax Act that we've been carrying since 1975 is a 1959 Act. Remember that? I see. Oh, you come on, 1959 Act. You were born in 57, so the law was passed in 1959, so you live with the law. Maybe you enjoy the benefit of this law, but I didn't. There's a law that is meant for eras of 1950s. I don't know how people missed it, but we changed it recently to update to a modern law. And so laws at the oppression level are there to be modernized, updated, based on needs as present, going forward. So what are the penalties that must be dispensed? Look at the Singapore model. Singapore uses fine as a deterrent. Fine. Drink and driving, fine. Fighting married, all crowd stuff. Some dollars for law, some of this. So some of these laws must be relooked at. I want to ask all of you, look into the laws. We are living in an embracing, changing time. ICT drives the world today, and ICT will play a great role going forward. Look into ICT elements, the biometric ID, CCTV, surveillance, ICT-based courts. Some of these conversations, I want you to look into the role of ICT and embrace ICT as a tool to be used. Look at international cooperation. How do we work with international, our law against other laws in our democracies? And some of the partnership we're doing with defense corporations, police corporations, judicial corporations. I want you to look into this. And of course, together we could put something that anchors the most diverse nation on the face of planet Earth going forward. I want to pledge my full support to all of you and the work you're doing. I look forward to the outcome of this, and may you, in this submission that will come to to our government, not just based on 2025 session hearing today, but more importantly, since 1998, the memory of how you've traveled and what you recommend to government, we will fully consider in the face of the reset that Minister Pala has appointed to us as we enter September 16th this year, running to next year, September 15th. In our 50th year, there will be a series of laws that we must change based on the deficiencies we've identified in the last 50 years, without compromising the fundamental gist of our Constitution in terms of preserving freedom of right, democracy, and independence of judiciary. Some of the subservient laws that needs to be updated, modernized to protect our country, secure our country. My government stands ready to assist all of you. September 16th this year to next year, September 15th, we will be doing some of these changes in laws and put to us clearly what you feel from the community, that these are good laws that must be looked at, and we stand ready to assist all of you. And CRMC on the 50th, we make sure you're part of our government system. Thank you too much. God bless you.